Market Matters live streamed every Monday for your viewing pleasure. We're getting into the festive season. It is December. It's not December in South Africa. It's never been December in South Africa. I don't think that word is spelt that way. So welcome to December. We're going to have a shortened edition of the Insider Exchange podcast this month. So we're going to do this week. We're going to wrap up the year next week. We're going to do a special Christmas edition next week. So join us for that. But this week, we're going to be taking a look at a couple of things in Market Matters. We're going to be taking a look at the earnings numbers that are coming out from some of the South African companies. We're also going to be reflecting on some decisions made out of the United States. The current president has decided to pardon his son. The incoming president has decided to threaten BRICS. We're going to look at that. We're going to unpack what all of that means and hopefully try and make sense of it. But before we get to all of that, how was Black Friday? What did you buy?
Toilet paper and dishwash tablets.
Oh, we are the same. Not the dishwash tablets, the toilet paper. And I'll explain why. Sean, what did you buy?
Interesting. I did not do anything or buy anything for Black Friday. The reason being, look, for me, it literally is like a normal sale in South Africa. So some of the stuff that you're seeing on Black Friday, if you wait, let's call it towards mid-December there, everything's going to be on sale again at the same prices of Black Friday. So why should I wait in queues or wait in lines for something I can get for the same price just a little bit later?
So the groceries thing, for me, made me realize that I'm at a different point in my life. and that point is understanding that the economy is tough, right? And it wasn't an intentional thing. So I sat there and I kind of keep track of numbers in my head at random times. And I noted what was happening with the price of things like toilet paper. And it was on special at certain points. And then you kind of saw specials for bigger packs, smaller packs, and all of that. But when Black Friday rolled around, I specifically looked for things like that, where you're going to use it at some point. You're going to use washing powder to wash your laundry. You're going to use toothpaste. You're going to use those sorts of necessities. And for me, I found that was the biggest thing, right? I wasn't even drawn to buying a 58-inch flat screen TV because the TV I have at home, I barely watch anyway, right?
And it probably works.
Right? So it didn't make sense, right? But there was a time in my life where I would remember looking out for those kinds of promos. This time around, I was there and they were like, what Omo is, I think it was Omo. I'm not sure. It was one of the, multiple washing powders for your washing machine were at a 50% discount to what they would usually be any other time of the year. And I know this because I'd been tracking them for the last couple of months leading up to Black Friday. I bought enough for next year.
So I got two things. Firstly, you know that toothpaste expires.
Oh,
Really? I don't know that.
But it seems
what happens when it expires?
Well, it's nothing because I'm busy. Second fun fact, how do you wash your dishes without a dishwasher?
With my hands? Like a normal human being?
With my hands as well.
Oh?
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. Did a dishwasher exist to you, let's call it, in your 30s?
When did I get my first dishwasher?
Oh, I thought you were going to figure out when you were 30.
Ish. Mid-30s maybe.
So before that, you weren't washing your dishes?
My wife washed dishes.
Okay.
And it wasn't source of argument, so I just bought a dishwasher.
Also,
Argument left.
there is an alternative solution to that. Is just use paper cutlery.
I've seen that too. So
I've seen people do that as well.
I've also seen that
So I also bought some, my wife got sunglasses, 60% off, and then I bought some camping stuff because like you, I know what the price is, and it was legit 40% off.
Yes.
And I'm like, I will do that.
Yes. There's some of the deals were
But I already have a TV, so...
Yeah, so some of the things actually made quite a bit of sense. And for me, I also looked at, I don't know whether it was selfish or not, but I looked at stuff for the Insider X community because we're growing at a rapid rate, and some of the technological things we were trying out and we're looking at exploring to make the show even better, it was like, okay, cool, now's a good time, as good a time as any, right? So it was an interesting Black Friday. But let's get into the show. Let's get into Market Matters this week. We are expecting a lot of data. We're expecting a lot of information to come out. I'm I want to get into a couple of things, but for those that are new to the channel, I think it's right to just give you a heads up. You might see that the studio looks a little different. And that's because we're joined in studio by Trading Services Manager at Thrive South Africa, Sean Dendere. He pops in every now and then to have these conversations with us, and we appreciate the input that he gives us. There's a question that we're going to ask Sean before he leaves at the end of the show that Simon and I have been debating. But we'll come back to that, Sean. I will not leave you to think on it. I want to. If I forget, community, please jump in the chat. Remind me in the chat to ask him the question. We are live streamed, so I can see that. But we're not going to forget for now. We're going to jump into market matters, and we're going to take a look at some of the developments that we expected, or rather that we're expecting this week. We're expecting non-farms payrolls numbers out this week. We're expecting Prosus results locally, Alex Forbes results locally as well. There's a couple of things happening. Let's start with the local stuff. Earnings coming around. We're kind of wrapping up the tail end of South African earnings. But Prosus is a big one because just Prosus, Naspers, Tencent, the waiting on the JSE, all of that stuff. It's going to be a big one, whether we want it to be or not.
And the numbers, I mean, the process, it looked decent. I mean, they're actually kind of cleaning up their portfolio to a degree, and things are looking a lot better than they have in many years, and market is liking it. To your point, I mean, the Indies up over 1%, thanks very much to Prosus being a Naspers up, and then my screen disappears, up to 2.5%. But the numbers are just starting to look real. Like it's no longer just all this stuff which loses tons of money. I mean, who knew? They're making money from delivering food. Yes. I did not think that was possible.
That's interesting.
Well, to be fair, I mean, you look at the rest of the business, it has been, and I think this is a tale of a lot of the Naspers brand. It has been a lot of hit and miss from...
I think a lot of miss.
more miss than hit. Yeah, I mean, from the days when Koos built the business and kind of pumped into Tencent. Tencent is, and can be considered, but for all intents and purposes, the unicorn play that Naspers got into at the right time, right? And it's kind of been feeling like they've been trying to get another unicorn ever since. Mr. D's come around. They've done some things there. There've been a couple of other online business ventures and everything, but nothing to the magnitude of Tencent.
Yeah.
I want to just touch on, obviously you were speaking to Prosus, but I want to just go back to last week, right? Is that if we're looking at local companies, what I'm seeing is that there's a lot of deals that are being made.
M&A activity.
Yo, I mean, must be nice to be in corporate finance currently because every company is either selling something or buying something. And I think with a lot of sales that are happening, right, let's call it Black Friday for the companies, their balance sheets are starting to look really, really positive. And I think the way we're going, there's been a lot of strategic shift. Just going back to Naspers where we said a lot of misses, I think going forward, we're starting to see companies not really investing in many different pots and then just streamlining their businesses to what they're actually good at, was then obviously to fix their bottom line.
But you're also seeing that companies with stronger balance sheets are having a lot more fun in the M&A space, in the buying space and all of that. And I mean, to your point, Sean, around how companies are able to just readjust and reposition. This past weekend, Black Friday happens, obviously, and I found myself in an Edgar's, right? There was a special. It was a buy one, get one free kind of special or whatever. The Edcon Group, long since no longer listed, they've got... I remember the pandemic, they almost went entirely bankrupt. They were filing for bankruptcy in 2020, right? So very different business to what it looked like back then. But the point around that was the staff in the store said that the entire accounts system was offline. At that time. You see what I'm saying? And I'm thinking at the most critical time of your year by volume or by condensed volume. Yeah, you can average it out over the rest of the year, whatever. But condensed volume, Black Friday is probably one of the biggest times in a retailer's year, right?
Exactly.
At that time where guys like Spar have battled with SAP and implementation of SAP, and you're sitting there and you haven't proof checked your systems or stress checked your systems. And then on the other side, the guys that have the healthy balance sheet, the ShopRite, went and rolled out an entirely new point of sale system across 2,500 stores before Black Friday. Everything was up and running like nothing happened. Very different ends of
The spectrum.
the spectrum, right? Both operating in the retail space, both providing mass convenience to consumers, all of that, big stores, all of that stuff, right? But you're able to roll out an entire point of sale system, upgrade it and everything. And we've heard no reports of any issues from that side. And then on this side,
Yeah, it is a
difficult.
balance sheet story,
No,
right?
it was
How
just a
much you're
very
willing to
difficult
invest.
thing. That's it. It was a very difficult
Exactly.
thing to witness, and I found myself a bit feeling like a bit weird about it because I was like, well, everybody else is frustrated as a customer. I'm looking at it from a business perspective. I was like, okay, no, you need to stop thinking about these things from that perspective. But yeah, that's what's been happening, as you've alluded to, is that a lot of the conversations from an M&A perspective have been around, can we pick up good things? Amplatz last week did another accelerated book build.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That was well received.
It was.
It was.
I mean, no, it absolutely was. I mean, it just makes me think that it puts pressure on Anglo Platinum as this whole thing, because they still got, what, 65% of shares.
Exactly.
They're going to either sell it or unbundle it. Before they can unbundle, they've got to do the London dual listing. I just look at it and I'm like, if I wanted a platinum play, I don't. But if I did, it wouldn't be Anglo because of Anglo Platinum, because of this overhang that's sitting in the market. And although it's a preferred in by many people, it's just like at some point, 65% of the company is going to hit the market and there's going to be a lot of selling. So at some point next year, Anglo Platinum is going to be really cheap, surely.
That could be an interesting
That's
play.
my thought.
We spoke about this though, and you weren't here, Sean. I want to get your thoughts on this. You weren't here when Simon and I spoke about it. We said an interesting play for that business could be China, because you're going to consume the platinum anyway. So why not buy the entire business? If it is up for sale, why not put in an offer? You can afford it and pick up a good platinum miner.
Interesting, right?
So, I mean, China does have a strategic pork reserve, so why not? And they've bought, I mean, 20 years
Did
ago.
you say pork reserve?
I was also
Correct, I did.
thinking,
I
what?
said
I don't
pork.
understand.
Bacon pork?
Yeah.
Look, what's the link with platinum?
China, we need...
No, that they have strategic reserves, so why not platinum? They bought that one, was it Meteorix, that copper mine 15 odd years ago, listed on the JSE. China just came in and said, yeah, we'll have all of it, please, sir.
Yeah, we'll take the whole mine. Well, I mean, if people are looking at production, whether you're looking at internal combustion engines, hybrids, doesn't really matter what you're looking at. If you're looking in the platinum space, there's an Amplatz available for you. If you're looking in the copper space, there's a copper company available for you. If you are China and you know you're going to be dabbling in both, whether in whatever volumes or percentages, it makes sense to have your own supply, right?
Yeah, I mean, strategically for China, looking into South Africa, obviously they're a massive commodity consumer, for the lack of a better term. It really would work well for them, right? Because then all their costs, I mean, China likes low cost, we know that. You're bringing down the cost. There's no third party involved. You're just getting it direct from source, and you're consuming it anyways. And then you're speaking about the electric vehicles and where the world is going from a Chinese perspective. It actually could also do well for the electric vehicle market, which seems to be doing quite well as it is.
That's it. I want to get your thoughts on something, Sean, before we move on. Boxer's listing last week. That was something that we kind of expected would come into the market. We expected it. There was an IPO around 54 Rand, raised about 8.5 billion Rand there. Then we listed at around 63 Rand. Today, we've opened at 67 Rand.
Oh, hectic.
Are you buying? Are you long? Are you happy? How do you feel about Boxer?
You know what? I'm a ShopRite fan, all right? And it's definitely going to be very difficult from, a low-cost retailer to compete with a giant like ShopRite. My thoughts really on the Boxer listing is more from a pick and pay perspective.
Yes.
I think this is just, or not just, but I think it is a strategic move to try prop up what's happening at Pick and Pay. Because as we all know, Pick and Pay has really, really struggled, right? And this listing of Boxer in the long term might actually do quite well for Pick and Pay, the brand. Yes, Boxer will operate, do its thing. Hopefully, obviously, the share price, people are reacting positively to the share price. but let's see what effects it has to its parent.
Yeah, well, to be fair, now we've always said that now the Pick and Pay brand has to stand
Do
on
its
its
story.
own, because now
And
you're
that's
going
a
to
big
strip out all of the Boxer value, and it's going to be sitting on one side, and we're going to drill down into what the Pick and Pay balance sheet now looks like, and that's going to be a telling
Look, the
sign.
balance sheet's better. They got to get their business going. I mean, I haven't been to a Pick and Pay in ages. I've sort of maybe once this year I've popped into one. It was tired. It was uninspiring. The big thing, of course, is that how long before the investment community says to Pick and Pay, unlock value, unbundle Boxer. I'm reckoning February.
That's going to be a very interesting time, and we'll come back to that at another time. I want us to wrap things up with a look at things across the ocean. I can't say across the pond because apparently that's a British thing. So across the ocean, we're looking into the US. President Biden, after as recently as last month saying he was not going to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, has pardoned his son, Hunter Biden.
So I think Biden should just, so what's he got? 6 weeks, 7 weeks left in office. He should just go
Garden
crazy.
leave.
Yeah, no, man.
Okay, different thing.
He should start a strategic, actually America has a strategic cheese fund. Go look at that one.
A strategic cheese fund.
Cheese.
Okay. Pork and cheese. That's what today's about.
So I think he should go and eat with the cheese. I think he should pardon people. I think he should, apparently what he could do, I think he should throw Trump in jail because he's got immunity apparently. I mean, if I were president, and this is it, the man is what, like 120 years old or something, 80 something, I don't know. He's never going back into politics. This is his last 6 weeks of hurrah. Man, I would go down.
Well, to be fair,
I would declare the election null and void and just make yourself king for life. But he's old. So how about making Hunter king for life? Now you're really upset the MAGA.
to be fair, if you think about the US system, I believe you're right, Science. Until Trump officially takes office
On the 20th.
on the
of Jan.
20th, he is still liable for whatever cases
not
are in
president.
Yeah, but you can't prosecute a sitting president.
President,
So he's
exactly.
technically not president at this stage.
Yeah.
And if you're going to cause chaos, now's the time to do it.
Yeah. And I mean, so his charge for disrupting or trying to steal the last election has dropped because he won this election, which just, I mean, it sounds like some weird country you've never heard of with odd politics. But here's a fun fact. So Trump last time pardoned his son-in-law's father, Charles Kushner, who had done tax evasion and other crimes, and over the weekend has nominated him now, 4 years later, to be ambassador to France.
Yeah.
And this is a what's it? A criminal organization essentially.
Well,
But look, I want to add to your fun
Okay.
fact, right? If we go back below, because I read something this morning actually, was that, okay, so Trump had that pardon. Bill Clinton also had a pardon where he pardoned his half-brother.
His half-brother, yeah,
Before
the
you
sex-
get out of power, you say, you go free, you go free.
pardon a
you
bunch
go
of people.
free. Chill out.
Well, to be fair, right, we speak of a presidential pardon, especially in the US, as a big thing and all of that, right? It does exist in other countries, right? And I suppose if you aren't as efficient at understanding the pardon side of it, you could just apply for medical parole for a terminal illness that lasts for 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's be clear. I mean, to your point, Sean, like all presidents do it, like hundreds. I think Obama did like thousands of pardons. I mean, it's just crazy. And in the UK, when Johnson went, you can, as the ex prime minister, when you quit Parliament, you can nominate people to the House of Lords. He sent some like 25-year-old woman who'd been his secretary or something. And like, yeah.
Secretary?
Or pair something. I don't know. Yeah, I know.
We've seen it play out before. But yes, let's wrap things up with Trump as well. Then coming back after, around the same time, it really doesn't matter. Threatening the BRICS bloc. Waking up, choosing violence, and threatening the BRICS bloc.
Look, I think that it is a negotiating tool. Do you really think that, those threats could come into fruition? It's just, in my opinion, I think it's just a power play to say, look, we're obviously a big trading partner to the BRICS countries. I'm in power now. America first, great. And you guys got these ideas that you want to implement your own currency. How do I still get a piece of the pie? Let me threaten you.
That's a fair point. And ordinarily, those threats would work if we were, 30, 40, 50 years ago? Those threats would have...
but you're thinking...
They'd carry a lot more weight in terms of the fear that the US would... or the fear that the US imposed on the rest of the world. The pandemic showed us that a trade war between China and the US does not leave the US unscathed.
Yeah. But I think you're making the error that you think that, I mean, what Trump is doing here is, and go back a week where he threatened Mexico and Canada with 25%. And then he claims victory. And I quote, Canada has agreed to enforcement in a visible and muscular way. And he's claiming victory. Man, they're trolling him. The Mexico president basically said to him, pick a finger, it's the middle one. And he's like, oh, we're winning. So he puts this crazy nonsense out. He then claims victory. And his supporters are like, yo, look at strongman. How's he going to claim victory here? There is no plan to make a BRICS currency. There is plan to not do ZAR dollar rupee and just do ZAR rupee, which makes perfect sense. So he's going to claim victory and say, you see, no BRICS currency. And his fans will be like, oh, look at this man, he's so clever.
Okay.
Interesting. I've never actually looked at it from that perspective.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, actually.
Because look what the Rand did today. Crickets. Like he's basically threatening to tariff us 100%, and our market is like, but
I think that is less the Rand, and that is more the conversation you and I had pre the US election to say, if Donald Trump is to return as president, we know the level of crazy we're gonna get, and the market is showing that.
He's not even president yet.
The market is showing that. The market's sitting there saying, this is very much in line with Donald. This is a normal thing. But it's also a very outrageous statement to think that you are still in charge or above every other country in the world. Yes, the dollar is still a predominantly used currency. Yes, it is still the most widely used currency in trade purposes and everything. But if the BRICS bloc has shown anything, is that within the BRICS bloc, every single commodity exists such that no commodity is lacking that we would suddenly need from the US.
Yeah,
precisely.
Yeah. Nope, 100%.
We're going to leave it on that note. That's been Market Matters for this week. Thanks so much to the Thrive team for joining us in studio. Thanks to our YouTubers for joining us on the stream. Thanks to our TikTokers for joining us on the stream. Be sure to catch us. We're going to drop the investor insights and deep dive a little bit later. But before we go, we did not forget Sean. Simon and I were discussing, I think it was last week or the week before that, we were discussing Domino's Pizza. And Simon made a very interesting point that it's not even the third best pizza he's had. What are your top 5 pizzas?
Top 5 pizzas. Very interesting question. So firstly, all right, I don't think I have a top 5 per se, right?
That's a lot of pizzas, but hey.
Fine, we'll take a top 3.
You should have said that and bought in pizzas. And we could do a test just for next
taste
time.
test, exactly, you know.
Any pizza companies out there wanting to prove that they have the best pizza, send us a box. We'll try it out. We'll let you know.
Yeah, but don't send bad ones because we will hate them.
But I think with pizzas, I don't generally tend to go for your traditional houses per se. So off the top of my head, you guys should try it. There's this place called Hello Tomato.
Okay.
So they basically specialize in pasta and pizza, right? So very homemade feel, etc., etc. That would be my top, right? My top 1. And then the other 4. Now you just
they can all fight for themselves.
Yeah, no, I can fight for themselves. We've got to experiment, right? We've definitely got to walk around, experiment. But the key is always look for a small shop. Right, a small establishment.
Yeah, the man is right.
That's where you find good pizzas.
Yeah,
and
the traditionals.
That's why obviously I wouldn't have like a top 5 because I've tried many random little places where you're like, okay, this was great.
Okay, this looks like a Hello Tomato.
Hello Tomato. We'll see. We'll try it out. We'll give you guys a review. We'll let you guys know. Sean, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks
guys.
for coming through. Those on the live stream, Jimbo, thanks for joining us. As always, we love having you on the live stream. We hope the results go well for the exam. 7 hours sounds like a very painful way to spend a Saturday. But hopefully the handover goes well. And to the rest of our community, join us, subscribe, like. There's buttons somewhere on someone's screen. Follow everything. Until next time, that's been Market Matters. Thanks for joining us.
Cheers.